and welcome to this episode of Flyby, presented by the National Model Aviation Museum. I'm your host, Claire, and today we'll be discussing Beppe Fascione's aircraft, the Smog Hog.
My name is Giuseppe Fascione, Beppe for my friends, and I've been a modeler for more than 60 years. And I've been flying radio control for more than 50. This aircraft has been built in 2002. This is a Howard Bonner Smog Hog. It was designed in 1957. It was designed in 1957, and he won a national championship with this aircraft. You may notice that this is a free function radio control aircraft. You have rudder, you have elevator, you have throttle. You don't have any ailerons. So this aircraft is capable of a limited number of maneuvers that can be performed with the elevator, and therefore loops, and sort of barrel roll, which is limited by the limited power available and the limited size of the rudder. Nevertheless, this was a very competitive aircraft in 1957, and as a matter of fact, Bonner won the national with this aircraft. You may notice the intensive use of rubber bands. The wing is held to the fuselage with rubber bands. The horizontal stabilizer is held against the fuselage with rubber bands. The landing gear is held with rubber bands. Even the fuel tank here is held with rubber bands inside this opening in the fuselage. This is a KMB Torpedo 35 greenhead. This, we are talking about 57, 58, 59. This was the engine to have if you were serious into radio control, multi, as it was called, multi-channels, multi-functions. There are a couple of things to note in this tail section. When we prepare an aircraft for concours, we follow exactly the drawing, the original drawing, the materials used in the original drawing, the techniques used in the original drawing. You can see here a couple of things. Hinges, for instance. We are not using hidden hinges. We are using, let's say, tape, fiber hinges. This is nylon or silk tape, half an inch wide, and you glue one side to one part, the other side underneath the other part of the stabilizing section, and you do it in 2 or 3 or 4 units, one after the other, and this hinge is extremely free. If you remove the push rod, the surface will fall because it's extremely flexible. And it has to be because the power provided by a rubber escapement is extremely limited. So it will barely be able to take care of the aerodynamic loads. You don't need any additional friction anywhere. So both the rudder and the elevator are connected to the fixed part using this kind of techniques. But by the way, you'll find in many control line aircraft of that time frame, And this is an example of the materials that you use for the terminal of the push rod and the rudder horn. This is an original DeBolt rudder horn that could be found on the market in the late 50s. And this is what we used in those days instead of a so-called quick link. This was you used to solder by yourself in order to secure the push rod to the bell, to the horn. And this sort of Z-band is what you use to adjust the length of the push rod in order to trim mechanically your airplane. This aircraft also has one additional peculiarity. You may look at the wheels. They are hefty. They are light. The hub is wood. They are called Trexler wheels, and they are really balloon wheels. I just inflated them. You can inflate them with a pump or just blowing into them, and they will stay inflated for some time. They are light. The main characteristic is that they are really light. And in a time when the equipment was extremely heavy, let's say that this aircraft was supposed to bring around probably 3 pounds of equipment inside to control the throttle, the rudder, and the elevator, something that nowadays could just weigh a few ounces. Every area where you could save some weight could help. This aircraft, like all my own aircraft, has been covered in silk span. Usually I apply 1 layer of white silk span, and on top of that, the colored silk span. In this case, I saved some weight, and I covered everything in white, in yellow, and then on the yellow, I applied the red stripes, and the black is just a Sharpie. After many coats of clear dope, this aircraft has 2 coats of automotive clear dope, the 2-component smelly stuff, to be used as fuel proofing. This is a technique that I've been using for many years, and it provides a nice shiny finish. And this covering will last for many, many, many years. I had aircraft that I didn't crash that lasted for more than 20 years. The problem is not to punch the silk span, otherwise it will start to rip off. But if the covering is left integer, it will stay there for ages. This is the aircraft that Howard Bonner used to win the 1957 championship. He was also famous in subsequent years for a lot of things. He, on this aircraft, was using originally a single channel radio with rubber escapements in cascade, so that with a single channel radio, so you have to imagine a small box with a button, and you pushed and you had right. Push, release, you had left. Push, release, push, release, push, and you had up. And if you were able to repeat it 4 times, you had down. It could be done. It was difficult to do it properly. So in any case, Howard had his own rubber escapement to perform this kind of an activity. When the reed radios appeared on the market, he designed a servo to go with reed radios that was used by the majority of modelers all around the world. It was originally the Digimite, when you had a receiver with relays. And when eventually the receiver became relayless, he moved some part of the electronics inside each servo, and you had the Transmite. End of 50s, early 60s, all the major brands of radio control system used Bonner servos. It was the servo that was commonly used everywhere. Mid-60s, Howard was one of the first ones to come out with a digital, fully proportional system. And for a few years, once again, that was the system to use. It was a system that costed more than $800. In 1965-66 economy, it was a lot of money. Really a lot of money. Probably something like $3,000–4,000 nowadays. Well, if you think about also modern top-of-the-line transmit systems cost that amount of money. Fact is that if you can spend $3,000 for a very sophisticated Futaba system, top of the line, but you can have a working system also for $100 if you don't need the top of the line. In the old days, there was only that system. So Howard Bonner was an important element of our RC world in the 50s and in the 60s.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Flyby. As always, please leave your questions, ideas, and suggestions in the comments section. Follow us on social media for updates on current projects, new donations, and behind-the-scenes historical air modeling information. We always appreciate your feedback. If you notice any discrepancies in the information provided or you have additional information, please email us at museum@modelaircraft.org.